Chapter 6. Hrothgar and his men were still by the side of the lake, watching for any sign of Beowulf. Suddenly, they saw a huge wave, and the water turned red with blood. Hrothgar's advisers shook their heads sadly. They thought the hero had surely met his death down there in the depths. They did not expect to see Beowulf come back to them. The king and his men waited for some time longer, and then they went back to Heorot Hall. Beowulf's men, however, remained where they were. They had no hope that Beowulf would survive, but they stayed all the same. At the bottom of the lake, Beowulf watched as the sword he had used to kill Grendel's mother began to melt. It dissolved the same way that the frost dissolves when the sun is warm. Beowulf looked round the monster's court, and he saw a lot of rich treasure there. He took nothing with him when he left, however, except the monster's head and the sword hilt. He swam upwards through the water. The snakes had gone now that the monster was dead, and the water no longer burned. Beowulf swam strongly for the land, pulling his heavy load behind him. The Geats were full of joy when they saw their hero reach the land. They helped him to take off his armor and to carry the monster's head. They put the head on a spear, and they set off for Hrothgar's hall. Beowulf showed the king the monster's head when he arrived at the hall. He had won his victory, and spoke to the king.
"We are happy to bring you this sign of our victory. The battle under the water was a difficult one, and I nearly died down there. I could not have done it without God's help. Hrunting is a good sword, but it failed me in the battle. Luckily, I found another sword, an old one, and it was with this that I killed the monster. Now you can sleep safely, I promise you. That terrible monster will not disturb you again."
Beowulf gave the sword hilt to the king as a present. Hrothgar examined it carefully, and then he spoke.
"A king like me, who has promised to protect truth and to defend tradition, has the right to say that a warrior like Beowulf will achieve great things in his life. You are famous now, Beowulf. Everybody knows who you are. And because I am wise, I want to share my wisdom with you."
Then Hrothgar gave Beowulf this advice.
"It is wonderful how God allows a man to achieve many things and to become powerful in his own land. But then that man forgets that he has to die one day. He lives for pleasure and thinks nothing of old age and sickness. He does not worry about his enemies. He sees the whole world obey him, and he becomes proud. He ceases to look around him. Then, one day, a killer comes after him, someone with a bow. The killer strikes at him, and the proud man is hit in the heart. Then the demon comes to him and makes everything bitter. Nothing has meaning for him anymore, and he ignores old customs. His body dies, and the man's goods are given to someone else who does not take care of them."
The king looked at Beowulf for a moment, and then he went on.
"Do not fall into that trap, my friend. Put your trust in eternal things. Do not be proud of your strength, which does not last forever. Remember that you can be destroyed by sickness, by the sword, or by old age. Death will come to you one day."
Everyone was now listening to Hrothgar's words of wisdom. He went on.
"I was like that, you see. I ruled for 50 years. I defended my people with my sword. I thought that I had no more enemies. Then Grendel appeared, and he destroyed the land. I thank God I have seen this monster's head after all my sufferings.
Chapter 7. The next day, Beowulf and his Geats prepared to leave Denmark. They were impatient to go back to their own country. Beowulf gave Hrunting back to Anferth, and thanked him for the use of it. He said it had been useful to him, and he did not blame Anferth for its failure in the battle. The Geats came into the throne room to salute Hrothgar. Beowulf spoke.
We want to return now to our home. We have been welcomed here, and you have treated us well. If I can do anything more for you, my lord, I shall be ready to do it. If enemies come to your kingdom, I will cross the sea once more to help you against them. I know King Hygelac will also be willing to help you if you need us. If your son, Hrethric, wants to travel, and he comes to visit the Geats, he will find many friends there.
Hrothgar listened to Beowulf's words, and then he replied,
God sent you those words, my friend. You are strong in body, and you are strong in mind. If anything bad happens to Hygelac, if some enemy should kill him, or some sickness destroy him, you would be an excellent king for the Geats. I like you, Beowulf. You have brought friendship between the Geats and the Danes, despite the hatreds of the past. I will be the Geats' friend as long as I live.
Then Hrothgar gave Beowulf more treasures, and told him to set out on his journey. The king embraced the hero, and tears were in the old man's eyes. He feared he would never see the hero again, and this thought made him sad. Beowulf and the Geats marched to the sea. They passed the watchman, who rode up to say goodbye to them. Then they loaded their ship with Hrothgar's gifts and sailed away. Their journey across the sea was a quick one, and they soon arrived home. The Geat watchman ran to welcome them home, and he moored their boat for them. Then the treasure was carried ashore, and Beowulf and his men went to King Hygelac's stronghold. Hygelac greeted the hero and his men warmly. Queen Hygd passed the cup to each of them in a kindly way. Then the king began to ask Beowulf about his exploits. He wanted to know everything that had happened. The king put his questions.
What happened on your journey? Did you help Hrothgar? Your adventure worried me. I was afraid for you. I thank God you have returned here safely.
Now Beowulf answered the king's anxious questions.
Everything was done well. Hrothgar welcomed us and asked us to sit with his sons in the hall. He treated us well.
Then Beowulf spoke about the enmity between the Danes and the Hyathobhards.
Hrothgar's daughter, Freawaru, is going to marry Ingeld, the Hyathobard. They hope the marriage will make peace between the Danes and the Hyathobards, but I am not so sure about that. How will the Hyathobards feel when the Danes come to the wedding? The Danes will be wearing some of the armor they took from the Hyathobard warriors when they defeated them. Some old Hyathobard who remembers those days will look at the Danes. He will recognize a piece of armor that used to belong to an old friend who died in the slaughter. Then he will become bitter with his memories. He will say to the dead man's son, "That's your father's sword, young fellow, the one he wore the day he went to fight the Danes." Then the young man will get up and avenge his father's death. The Danes and the Hyathobards will rise angrily to their feet. Ingeld will look at his young wife, Friawaru, and begin to hate her because of the violent past.
Now Beowulf told King Hygelac about his encounter with Grendel. He described how he had fought the monster in Heorot Hall, and how he had killed him there. Then he described the fight with Grendel's mother, and the successful conclusion to it. When Beowulf stopped speaking, he called for the gifts that he had received from Hrothgar. He presented these to Hygelac. He gave the king the standard, the helmet, and the armor, and the fine horses. He gave Queen Hygd the magnificent torque that Hrothgar's queen had given him. Beowulf kept nothing for himself. He behaved with full honor. Chapter 8. Beowulf's reputation among the Geats was great now. King Hygelac had not thought highly of the young hero before, but all that changed after he heard about Beowulf's adventures. The king rewarded him generously for his courage, giving him a sword and land. The years passed, and the Geats became involved in wars with their enemies. Hygelac was killed in battle, and Beowulf became king. He ruled well for 50 years, and grew into old age with wisdom. Now a new danger threatened the Geat kingdom. There was an underground barrow which contained a great quantity of treasure. The treasure had belonged to a noble family a long time before, but the family had been destroyed in war. A lone survivor of their blood had buried their riches in the ground. 3 centuries earlier, a dragon had found the place and made its home there. He guarded the treasure in peace and quiet. No one came to disturb the dragon's rest beneath the ground. Now, a foolish man went into the dragon's hiding place and stole a jeweled goblet. The thief took the goblet back to his master and told him where the treasure could be found. The dragon awoke from his sleep and was furious at his loss. He saw the tracks of human feet and emerged from the barrow when it was dark. He breathed fire in his anger and wanted his revenge. He attacked the people on the land, burning their homes and killing everyone he found. The Geat nation was afraid of the terrible destruction that the dragon brought with him. They feared his attacks in the darkness, the flames and death he carried with him. One day, Beowulf heard bad news. The dragon had come to his own house and burnt the throne room. Beowulf was troubled at the news. He thought he had offended God in some way. He decided to take his revenge against the dragon. He was too proud to use his whole army in the battle, and he was not afraid of the dragon's strength. He thought he was stronger than the beast. He remembered all his past adventures, and this gave him courage. He remembered his battles against Grendel and the monster's mother. He remembered how he had helped the Geats after their king, Hygelac, was killed. He had defeated the Geats' enemies with his sword and had protected Hygelac's son, Herdred. He had become king after Herdred's death. Later, he had avenged that death. When he thought of all these things, he was not afraid. Beowulf took 11 warriors with him and went out to look for the dragon. By now, he understood what had happened. He had found the thief who had taken the goblet, and he made that man come with him. He told the thief to show him where the dragon's barrow was. The thief led them to the coast and showed them the place. Beowulf sat at the top of the cliffs. He was sad because he felt that his death was near. He wished the Geats who had served with him good fortune in the future. Now he spoke to them.
I have survived many dangers in my life. I came to the court when I was young, and I saw trouble among the king's family and war against our enemies. Hygelac gave me land to reward me for my loyalty to him. I always took my place at the front of the battle, and I shall fight like that until the end.
Beowulf made a final promise to his men.
I was often in danger when I was young. Now that I am old, I will risk it once again for the sake of glory. I will fight that dragon if he comes out of the barrow.
Then the warrior hero said goodbye to his friends. He ordered them to remain where they were, so that they could see the outcome of the fight.